Hey, chickadees, welcome into today's episode of Mojo Mysticism. Today, once again, we are pulling from Divine Abundance by Tasha Silver. This, the card pool that our guides have given us today is really, I think it's just beautiful. It's just a soothing, beautiful reminder for each of us. So, first card that came out is Individuality, and it says every person has their own personalized study plan in this earth school. So Individuality. This is all about a customized plan for your life, also sometimes known as a life chart. And there's several soul contracts, or probably thousands of soul contracts that get kind of formed into this life chart. And it is specific for you. So, and the second card we have is grief. So grief, the card says tears are what happens when the ice in the heart melts. Grief. And this is just such a beautiful card. This is grief over anything. It's not like, doesn't necessarily mean it's that a loved one is going to die or anything quite like that. It's just, it's grief. It's that kind of ache in the heart over things that used to be that aren't anymore, or sometimes, it's a grief over a decision you have to make, but you haven't made yet. And so there is a thing called anticipatory grief as well, which is knowing if you know something is going to happen, you may be in a little bit of that kind of grief. And that's a very precarious place to be, by the way. So you want to be very careful. If you're experiencing anticipatory grief, be careful with that. Allow yourself to grieve, right? We do not stuff it. We don't push away emotions on this channel. We allow ourselves to have all of the emotions that we're having, and we honor those. We honor that our bodies are machines that are helping us express our spirit. And so if you're in anticipatory grief, feel the feelings. And the caution that I want to give you is just don't feed it your energy. Okay? Let it move through you. Let it wash through you. It's going to impact you. But understand that you can stop short of getting onto the hamster wheel of it and feeding it energy and feeding the cycle. Because once we do that, we may be in a position where we actually can impact the outcome, and we don't want to do that. So we want everything to unfold exactly as it should. So anticipatory grief, understand it's going to come through, hold it loosely. Grief over the loss of things in your life or people in your life is a different story. But what we're talking about here in this card specifically is when your heart is softening. Okay? Believe it or not, I used to have a very I was always friendly, right? And I was always approachable, but I had a very cold, icy outer segment to my heart. That's how I felt about it. And it wasn't until this really, literally with this card, that this started to melt away, that I began, and this was years ago, that I really began to understand what life is actually really all about. Because at the end of the day, we are all here for one reason and one reason only, and that is to learn to love. And when that ice in your heart melts, there is a grief that comes up. That grief comes up because, for me, it came up because I felt like I had been kind of shackled by this resistance to showing affection towards other people. And other people would tell me, Molly, that's just bullshit. You never were in this place. But it's not true. I was. It was a prison on the inside. And it wasn't, frankly, until, it started to chip away for years before, probably 10 years, I'm going to say. But it really wasn't until last year when I had what I call my mountaintop experience, which will be in the book Shift, which is coming out this year, when I really got cracked open to expose and understand and begin this journey to become love itself. And so people who meet me now would never believe who I was 15 years ago. Never, never, never. But this is what I'm talking about. This grief for lost time, a grief for loss of a loved one, a friendship that ends, a grief over loss of material goods and items, grief over loss of a job, or whatever the case may be. We're going to feel that. And when we know our individuality, right, when we are in that understanding of why we're here and that we have an individualized plan for this school here that we call Earth, it means that we start to see things fall away, right? Things that are not for us anymore. So that also causes grief. All right, so we parked on grief for quite a while here today, but I think it's an important conversation. Let me know in the comments if you agree or if you've experienced it in a different way and want to have a conversation about it. So the third card is change, and I'll just remind you what this card says. It says, when the ego finally sees the utter madness of trying to control everything, you come to a sacred crossroads in your own evolution. And just remind you what this one looks like too. So change, how does it fit into this? Well, obviously, if we realize we have an individualized plan, when we come to the point where we have that realization and we commit to going down the road with it and we experience the grief, sometimes that grief, as I've just mentioned, is about the change that is happening in our lives. So we see illusions dissolving. We see structures around us that are dismantling and deconstructing. And sometimes it's at a pace that is blistering and difficult to even register. But that change is your ego saying, oh, wait a minute. This world that I thought was so solid and so certain isn't certain, and the ego's beginning to become dismantled as well, or at least getting in the back of the bus, right? Our egos don't go away, but they shed a lot of their power. And so as that is happening and we're going through this big change, right, we're gonna feel the grief. But what happens is our individuality, that individual life plan that is only for you, gets expressed in a way that is truly authentic and completely unique to you. And that is so gorgeous. So if we each could do this, if we each could let our egos take a back seat on the bus, understand we have a plan, it's an individualized, customized plan for us for this lifetime, go through the grief of letting go what doesn't serve us in the unfolding of that plan, our lives would be very, very fun. So, not always, right? Grief is painful, but they would be so much fun. This whole world would be a much different place than it is. So, and we would be in our true authenticity. And I remember just a few years ago, a coach of mine saying to me, we had a private VIP day, and she said to me, Molly, you're going to be called to become even more authentic than you are. And I thought, how is that possible? Even then I thought, how is it possible that I would become even more authentic? And here we are today. This has been like 2 or 3 years at the most. And I see what she was talking about, because as you continue to let your plan evolve or unfold, right, and you let go of the things you need to let go of, you have no choice but to be more authentically you, because there's not much else left. Just to be clear, there's not much else left. But there is joy, and there is beauty, and there is happiness, and there is so much fun in living your life this way. My life is magical. It is absolutely magical. And I attribute it solely to being committed to the path that I'm on, being committed to my guidance, being committed to what I've been shown by my guides, that's what's next for me, and going through the pain of letting everything else go that needs to go in order for whatever that thing is to become my reality. And in that process, I have found that today I am far more authentically me than I have ever been in my life. And I wish the same for you as you continue down your journey. So, individuality, grief, and change, they are tied inexplicably. They're not inexplicably. They're interconnected. There it is. I found the word. They're interconnected at a deep, deep level. And when you commit to this path, and you'll find yourself coming around a cycle, and we'll talk about that cycle. That cycle is filling in, and it's what they have given me is incredible. As we keep coming around that cycle, we keep realizing that we can commit, and we're being asked to commit at a deeper level. And who's asking for that commitment is your higher self, right? It is you. It is the part of you that is also God, all that is, the universe. We are not separate from that. And that, whatever name you put on it, is what's calling you home. It's calling you to remember who you are as that truly stripped bare, completely authentic spiritual being that you are. So, I love you. You beautiful, gorgeous spiritual being you. Have a fabulous day, and we will see you next time. Mwah.